Well, one thing that you encountered during your arrival on the court, unlike any other justice, was during the pandemic and the limitations that COVID placed. How do you think the pandemic affected the court? And as we all try to figure out what the world will be like after the pandemic, do you have any thoughts on how the court might be?
So the pandemic, I will say that one very, very thin, small silver lining for me was that I do think it made my transition into the court a little bit easier because, I was commuting back and forth and arguments were remote. And I think that the court during COVID used a different argument format than it does normally, where we went seriatim, one justice after the other, each was allocated a certain number of minutes for questioning. And that was actually an easy way for a new justice to start because I didn't have to come in fighting for floor time and worrying about stepping on a senior colleague's toes by being too aggressive or speaking over them, or at the other side of the spectrum, not being aggressive enough and not getting my questions asked. And I think one thing that the court has now changed, now that we're back on the bench, that we learned from the COVID experience, is that that style of questioning wasn't one that we retained, but we did like the opportunity to not have as much talking over each other and to feel like everyone got their opportunity to have questions answered. And so we have adopted a new format that allows for more of that, which I think, even though it does make arguments longer, has largely, I think, been welcomed as an improvement. I look forward to the day when the court can be open to the public again so that people can come in and see the court and the public can return to the courtroom for oral argument. I hope that we have much less pandemic law coming before us. Right. But I think, it really remains to be seen. I'm sure there will be many sociology dissertations written in years to come about the effects that the pandemic has had on all of us.
Now that life is a little more normal for justices, could you tell us a little bit about how you balance what a day in your life is like with the court, with family, your faith, how you balance all of this?
So in some ways, when my oldest daughter, Emma, was born, my husband and I were continually engaged in conversations, mostly initiated by me. Like, I just don't know if I can keep working. I don't know if I'm giving her the attention she needs. And we always worked it out, and it was always a lot to juggle, but it kept working out, and the kids were thriving. And Jesse would often tell me, he's like, I think the kids might be better off by having you work and having you be, engaged in all those other things too, because you're around a lot, and it enabled him. My working freed him to be. He was an assistant United States attorney for many years, prosecuting, and so our being a two-income family, and Jesse really wanted to be an AUSA, and so he could coach their soccer games. And we lived in a town that was small enough that we could both be back and forth at their schools quickly. So now we're in Washington, and the commute's not so great. And it's getting worse now that the pandemic is thankfully coming to an end. Unfortunately, that means cars are back on the road. So we're navigating more because I can't just get home as quickly during the day as I used to be. So it's a long day. I often pray that my time will be multiplied like the loaves and the fishes. I get up early. I get up usually about 5, and I try to work and exercise. We get the kids off to school in the morning, work, come back, there's homework, there's soccer, there's lacrosse, getting everybody where they need to go, getting dinner ready. Personal email often falls by the wayside, I'm sorry to say, so I'm not a very good communicator. I take a long time to get back to people. But it's a very full life, but our kids have been troopers in the move, and they've adjusted really well. I have the good fortune of having a wonderful husband who does more than his share of the work at home. He's been doing all of our cooking, and that's great. So we have a very full life, but wouldn't trade it.
You